I know y'all motherfuckers heard this shit before. Talk is cheap. Who the fuck you think you is? Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? Who? You? Not hardly. Seriously, I lyrically render thee my enemy. Your intentions be clearly, sincerely to be the end of me. But I am what you pretend to be. You lack this intensity. I presently possess the tendency and weaponry to breathlessly in your tendency. The bullshit that you mumble don't make sense to me. You really wanna get at it? Say my name, I'll make it happen. Fuck the chitter chatter, let's get this shit cracking. Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? You? Not hardly. My superior interior rearranges your scenario. You're so mono-minded, but I spit this shit in stereo. You should've let it go long ago. Streamline flow like Taekwondo. Play my game, give a go in this studio. Yeah, keep the head spinning like vertigo. Feel what I mean? Michelangelo. No one can never quite do it the same. Pray and take aim. Claim all the fame, I'm after one thing. Check my family name, bitch. Stop me, stop me. Who gon' stop me? Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? Who gon' stop me? Stop me. Who gon' stop me? You? Not hardly.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
I am the prodigy, probably. An oddity, commodity to fuck up your psychology. I honestly, possibly, constantly body these fucking wannabes. I am the novelty, fulfillment of the prophecy. I am apostasy's atrocity, demonstrably an anomaly. Just check the verbosity of my anthology. What you want, I do this shit unconsciously. I told you after Devil's Night, I'm coming down swinging, hit them with that boom, and keep their heads ringing. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep, I told you what I do. What if I just switch the flow, let the pieces fall, call it domino. I kill in force, Idaho, you the hoe. I know you know how to ride this pole, rodeo. Like fuck with you a little, it'll ripple, cripple. But I give you this pickle. What am I trying to say? If A can beat me, then we can see. And after that, yeah, you can get the D. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep, I told you what I do.
Say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
The last time you're going to see a bad guy like this, let me tell you. What's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Atheist Network group. You have stumbled upon a little atheist YouTube channel where we love theists most of the time. Most of the time we try to. But what up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you may be. And what's up, everybody in the chat? I already got a good group of folks hanging out with us. What's up, Pat? The guy with the mad facts. And don't get past slapped. What's up, Captain? What's up, Captain? Breeze in the building. CosmicKyle, what up? Nitty. We all know the facts about Nitty. Nitty loves titties. Good morning, everyone. And as my dad's old boss used to say, it was annoying as fuck. Good morning, everyone. Anyway, it's not alcohol time yet, but it is coffee time, so we can still have drinks. What a rush! Yeah. So I'll get through the intro here as quick as I can, and if it goes a stretch where just a pre-warning or pre-warning or is it pre-warning, preamble, whatever the fuck you call it. It's too early for me. My brain doesn't function until about 2:00. But if I go for a minute and I don't jump in when John Hagee is saying some dumb shit, it's because Jen and I both work in the same room, so I have to. If she's on the phone with a client, I got to keep my loud, fat mouth shut for a fucking minute or two. So before we get into the video, I do, and we'll go through this quickly. We're going to go real quick through the top 8 crazy shits that, yes, it is atheist coffee. Thank you for asking. And shout out to Kyle. 9 months of membership to the Tang Gang channel. Thank you, Kyle, for all your support. And yes, Ox, Tang in the daytime. What was it we used to say? Jesus in the morning. Tang in the morning. Oh, Ox, that's ridiculous.
Smell the ocean.
Any hoot. Let's read through these here. Let me share the screen that way we can get to the video, and Jenna can get back to work without so many distractions here.
Perfect work environment.
Well, God damn it. I forgot I had to restart this. There we go. What a rush. All right, we'll go through this quick. And there's one little video. It's like seconds long, where there's actually I don't even know what you call it, talk show or whatever, talking about one of the dumbass things he said, which is one of the first things that's on the list. So it's convenient. But if you want, I can put the link in here once I read this. That way you can take your time and read it because I'm a blaze through it. But this is, and I quote from John Hagee: "If you're asking about my personal opinion, there is no greater sin in terms of wrongly using God's name than women who use it during sex. That is one of the filthiest, most derogatory and sinful uses of the Lord's name I can think of. If it were up to me, I would put every single woman and girl who does that in jail. that would be a fine example of God's wrath aimed at what it is, in my opinion, a terrible misuse of our Maker's good name. And I'll skip the video for now, but The View, the View did it. They thought it was fake. The viewers covered. They thought, but it was actually, it was real. He actually said that shit. On Ebola, in October 2014, there are grounds to say that judgment has already begun because he, the president, has been fighting to divide Jerusalem for years now. Hagee blamed the West African Ebola outbreak on President Barack Obama's position on Israel. Apparently, the president is not Zionist enough. On the anti-Semite Barack Obama, November 2014, and I quote, "The executive branch is in the hands of one of the most anti-Semitic presidents in the history of the United States of America." Hagee made these remarks to the Zionist Organization of America when the group presented him and Senator Cruz with an award for their support for Israel. He was responding to the U.S. negotiations with Iran over the latter country's nuclear proliferation. See, I can read before too. That's amazing. This one and one other, and then we'll get to the video. On the Antichrist in 2007, which this dude has, like, he's got a giant Christian chub for like the Antichrist and end times and shit. But from his book Jerusalem Countdown, the Antichrist will be the head of the European Union. He also wrote that Jerusalem will be awash in the sea of blood during the final battle. Even Senator John McCain distanced himself from Hagee after the book was published. Hagee really is a hard-on. Oh, wow. They said hard-on. I said chub. But yeah, has a chub for the Armageddon, but there's no word on his thoughts on the movie, on the 1998 movie. Yeah, the last two here I'll share. There's more. I'll put the link in here once we're done. On gays and lesbians, this comes from 2008. Before 1945, closets were for clothes, not for strange people to come out of. Yeah, he's that douchebag. And then last but not least, at least for, that's not on the totality of the list, but for what we're talking about here. On divorce in 2007, Christians don't steal or lie.
Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia.
What are you people? On dope?
Christians don't lie and don't steal. Okie dokie. Okie dokie, buddy. Whatever you say. Well, guess what? Did you know John Hagee is divorced? He founded Cornerstone Church after divorcing his first wife, Martha Downing, in 1975. The divorce was quite the scandal for the congregants of Trinity Church, where he was the minister at the time. And this reminds me a little bit of a Gregory Leviticus Locke. I'm sure you all know that name. He then remarried, getting hitched to Diana Castro, who was a congregant at Trinity and is now still his current wife. Oh, and I have to read this one because I forgot about this one. Yeah, the irony is thick. On wives, John Hagee's idea on wives, and I quote, "Women are only meant to be mothers and bear children. Childless marriage equals dead, poison, and empty. So, ladies, if God created you or made you to be barren, you're fucked. You're fucked."
What a rush.
All right, the little video we're going to watch here. This is your boy, John Hagee, and he's, believe it or not, he's on TBN, Trinity Broadcast Network. It's where all the, as Owen Telltale would say, where all the nut butteries spread their nut butter all over the place, right? They say all the crazy shit. Say all the dumb shit. And John Hagee is now going to educate us and learn us on the end times, Armageddon, what's it called when they come back to get us or whatever, the Rapture. He's going to learn us. Now I'm going to speed it up a little. No, I'm not. It's not that long. I'm going to speed it up. So have another sip of coffee. You're going to need it. I got to find the right soundbite for this one.
You told some of the biggest lies that I've ever heard of in my whole life. Ever.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah.
Nations of the world are powerful. When they all really get together, God's going to swat them and absolutely obliterate them. And then he's going to establish his son in the city of Jerusalem. There will be no longer the battle for Jerusalem. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, the conqueror of death, hell, and the grave, is going to set up his kingdom in the city of Jerusalem, and we're going to be there forever and forever and forever, triumphant in the final Game of Thrones.
So, this book seems to be something that you're declaring is kind of Genesis to Revelation, that you're weaving a story through. Where did this book come from? I mean, what started this? I mean, you've written 39 other books, and this one is very different in that regard. Where did the thought come from, in other words?
Well, the thought of having a continuous theme was the fact that the Bible, when written, 25% of it was prophetic. And if 25% of it is prophetic, it is imperative that the body of Christ fully understands that from day one, God has been in absolute control. Nothing that any dictator has ever done has caught him by surprise. No empire that's ever come to power came to power without his permission. And every sparrow that flies through the air does by the permission of God. God has this chaotic condition of America in the midst of his hand, and it is orchestrated to the nth degree. Nothing is going to happen without God's permission. When you get through reading this and see how exact prophecy is, there's one prophecy in here that I call the greatest prophecy that came true 173,000 days after it was prophesied to the day. You just can't do that by random chance. It shows the exactness of the prophetic word.
Okay. So if you just tuned in, this is a beautiful day here in Southern California. It is just absolutely one of
yes. This motherfucker's been doing TV, been doing a televangelist shit longer than, I think he's been doing it longer than Kenneth Copeland. I may be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. I'm sure somebody could fact check that. But I think he's the OG, so to speak, on that. But I just wanted to pause real quick and just, guys, in case you didn't know, 25% of the Bible is prophetic, and God has known everything since the beginning of time. He knew that he actually knew we were going to do this stream, and he allowed it. He allowed me to do this stream. The blessed hands of God are on this stream, have been on this stream, even before I was born. Even before I was born. God knew that this stream was going to happen. Kind of like he knows the number of hairs on my head or the lack thereof. It's amazing. It's amazing. And yeah, Kip, that is a huge difference between Hagee and Copeland. Is that in his narrative, his bullshit, the Zionists and all the other political bullshit that he throws in there. I mean, don't get it twisted. The Kenneth Copeland, like, don't get the vaccine because that's the devil. I mean, that's stupid shit too. Yeah, but the shit Hagee's on is it's fear mongering. It's bigoted, like extremely bigoted and hateful. But he is on TBN. Think about this. He's on TBN 6 days a week. 6 days a week. And we wonder why Christians here in America are cuckoo.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
One of those perfect days is a really interesting and unique location. That body of water, if you can see it back where they call that the Pacific Ocean. Okay?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what we have back there. You have written now on the end times prophetic subject matter. Now,
quick point. I was thinking about this yesterday. I want to say it was within the last 2 or 3 days, because I was listening to I was listening to Owen Telltale. He was covering like an old school Kenneth Copeland blurb or whatever out of one of his earlier books. Isn't it like Christians, like, and I'm saying this as a former Christian, like shake your head and make sure there's still something rattling, something in there, and use it. Because these motherfuckers tell you that in order to be blessed, number one, you have to have all this faith, right? Not only do you have to have all this faith, you have to give. You have to sow into the ministry. You have to sow into the kingdom. And that we shouldn't have to ask a bank. We shouldn't have to ask anybody for anything. That God, he's Jehovah Jireh, right? He's our provider. He's never late. He's always on time. He knows the desires of our heart. Yada, 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 right? But then these are the same sons of bitches that get up and beg for your money for a new home, a jet, a new Bentley, a new building. Like, they beg you for the money. Tell them to practice what they preach. Go pray and go faith that motherfucker. faith that jet right into your driveway. Faith that Bentley right into your garage. Faith that new home right onto that abandoned, plot of land you have. Faith that shit, bro. Practice what you preach. Be a leader. Be the example. Why are you asking me for my shit?
now, consistently for a number of years lately. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay. So wind the clock back. When did the prophetic thing hit you, and why? Where were you when?
Oh, if y'all are talking about Gemstone, the the HBO series, that shit is fucking hilarious. Every ex, how do they say it? Ex-evangelical, however the fuck you say that. Every ex-evangelical, charismatic evangelical needs to watch that shit. It's a riot.
And you, I mean, did you ever just preach
always been preaching on the
Yeah, I mean, did you ever preach anything on just something normal like, you know, love or something like that? I mean,
something normal.
Yes, prophecy didn't start until prophetic things started happening.
Okay.
When I became a pastor in 1966, the first.
Hold on, run that back. Did he just say what I thought he said?
In his words, to prove that things started happening.
Okay. Or just preach
always been preaching on the
Yeah,
prophetic?
I mean, did you ever preach anything on just something normal like, you know,
normal
love or something like that? I mean,
something normal.
Yes, prophecy didn't start until prophetic things started happening.
The prophetic didn't start until prophetic things started happening. So, John Hagee, are you saying that? Are you suggesting that prophecies didn't happen until you began preaching about the prophetic? Sure is what it fucking sounds like. So let's go ahead and take all those prophetic books out of the Old Testament and go ahead and flush them down the goddamn toilet. Woo! That deserves a coffee break.
What a rush!
Okay.
When I became a pastor in 1966, the first thing that happened to me was that the man walked in the church with a loaded gun and tried to shoot me in front of my congregation, in his words, to prove that there was more power, more demon power than there was the power of Christ to save me. And, you know, and the theology that I had been raised in, demons were not in America. They were in foreign countries. And that was a very convenient theology.
Right.
Until you're looking at one and he's got a gun and he's saying he's going to shoot you. He said, I want to shoot you. I've got a gun. I said, I have the word of God. It says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And he shot 6 times and missed. I then wrote a book, Invasion of Demons.
Okay.
I never saw myself as a writer, but it was an experiential book. And I typed it on a cheap typewriter, sent it off to Revell, and it became a bestseller. And from there on, I wrote about things that I knew about, because that's the essence of writing. And then whenever the Cold War with Ronald Reagan came along, and I began to see how that global structures had come and gone, and God had orchestrated it all, then suddenly it dawned on me, there's a grand panorama here that's happening on a stage that most of us are not seeing. And I started teaching that, and it just took off.
Got it. So life happened. You started writing based upon what you were seeing. I want to circle back to something. You're not embellishing that story at all, are you? I mean, a guy actually walked in and shot you, or shot at you with a gun.
In front of the pulpit.
No, I've got a tape recording of it.
Yeah.
Okay, you have eyewitnesses. You were in a church. You're not dreaming.
Wednesday night.
Okay, and a guy shot and missed you 6 times.
December 1971.
Okay.
He did.
And the the bullet holes were right.
There's a police report about this and the whole nine?
Front page of the newspaper.
Okay.
Sermon on demons interrupted with gunfire.
Amazing. And that was back in 71.
Yeah, that was.
1971?
1971.
Wow.
So
wait, I asked you before we went on the air, your first time on TBN, would you have testified about that, way back in
I didn't testify about it for a long time. And then sitting on the set, it must have been in the early 80s, I was talking to your dad, and they were talking about various trials that they had gone through. And he said, has anything ever happened to you when you were starting in your pastorate that was particularly stressful? I said, yeah, a guy tried to shoot me. How's that? And he said, just like you said, are you kidding me?
Wow.
I said, no, I'm not kidding you. This is exactly what happened. And the man ran out of the church, tried to run out of the church, and a young man in my church that was playing university football ran across the back of the church and hit him in the side of the head with a forearm shiver, driving him into the wall. He hit that wall so hard that when the gun hit the walnut handles came off the gun. I mean, he leveled him.
Wow.
And it didn't daze him.
My goodness.
He was committed to the insane asylum just a few days later. And 90 days later, 3 psychiatrists said that he was ready to take his place in society, and he drove to San Antonio, went to his home, climbed a tree, and hung himself.
My God. Wow. So when you told that same story, maybe in the 80s, to my dad, and he had a similar reaction, are you kidding?
Yeah, he said, I said, yeah, I have a tape recording of it.
Wow.
And I let him hear the tape recording of it. And he was, every time I was on TBN for the next 5 years, said, I'm in the story.
Well, my reaction was very similar. I think my dad said that he operated oftentimes in the gift of suspicion.
Yeah.
And so maybe I inherited some of that.
I guarantee
yeah.
you.
Okay. All right. We are here. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Southern California. I think I can feel the sun setting behind us. We're welcoming you wherever you're watching around. Pastor John Hagee, we've just touched a little bit on the book. We're going to get back into that. But let's get kind of right into where you want to start with, kind of the meat of this interview. We talked earlier and before we started, taping today, that you wanted to start kind of in Jerusalem.
God says, I have placed my name in the city of Jerusalem. No other nation, no other city in the world can claim that. The city of Jerusalem is where Abraham put his son on the altar to sacrifice to the God he could not see, to demonstrate his love and devotion for God. Jerusalem is the place where David defeated the Jebusites and took it over 3,000 years ago to be the capital of Israel. Jerusalem is where Isaiah and Jeremiah penned principles of righteousness that became the moral foundations of Western civilization. Jerusalem is where David said, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper that love you. Jerusalem is where Jesus Christ rode in on a donkey and presented himself as Messiah. That's the 173,000-day prophecy. Jerusalem is where he was crucified outside the walls. That is where he rose from the dead. That is where he's going to return to the Mount of Olives and put his foot on the Mount of Olives. It will split in half. He will walk through the Messiah's gate, the eastern gate, and set down his throne in the holy city of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the epicenter of eternity. It is the shoreline.
I can speak. We have to work together. We share workspace, and hers is more important than mine right now. So where do I start? So, in me trying to get to the video, I did fail to mention this part of my fascination with Mr. Hagee. Mr. Hagee actually preached at the church I grew up in, Family Worship Center in Kokomo, Indiana, pastored by James Bradley, which is a piece of shit if you ever want to look it up and take shots at him. But I digress. Hagee. What? So I need to speed it up. Can you let me know when it comes back on? Oh, it's all good, babe. Guess who's back? Back again. Oz is back. Tell your motherfucking friends. So I sped up the video so we fuck up the algorithms. YouTube. Fucking assholes. Can you hear me now? All right. So as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted by the YouTubes. The church I grew up in, Hagee preached at that church, I don't even know how many times, more than I remember or that I can count on memory. That church was Family Worship Center in Kokomo, Indiana, pastored by a piece of shit named Jim Bradley. If you ever want to look it up, and if you have a YouTube channel you want to do, review his shit. It's cockamania as well. But getting back to the story, where the motherfucker comes in with a 6-shooter, right, and just emptying all 6 rounds, right? Now this story has evolved over the years, which, as we know, kind of like the Bible, when you play the telephone game and you don't remember what you told the last person, and then you change parts of it, it grows or it gets bigger. That's what she said. Or, you add more details to it. He's backed off of some of the even more batshit crazy elements of the story as it was originally told. In some of the original reports that he gave of this incident, not only did the motherfucker come and like stand in the middle of the aisle, and it originally started like he was like if there's a middle aisle, like he was standing in the aisle. Then it got to the point where he was like 8 to 10 feet away from Hagee. But in the original format, and I remember this as a kid because I remember thinking, like, if that shit's real, that's crazy. That's crazy because the original story was when the dude gave him 6 biscuits, that all of them like were aimed directly at him, but the sovereign hand of God, the Holy Spirit, veered the bullets around him, and there were bullet holes in the wall. So how we went from that to where we're at now is beyond me. It's beyond me. Now, I did a fair amount. I did not dedicate, blood, sweat, and tears to it because it's not worth it. But I did a fair amount of research. There are no police reports. The gunman, supposed gunman, has never been named. The eyewitnesses that are alluded to in the video, no one's ever came forward and substantiated or said, no, I was there, this shit actually happened. The only thing Hagee claims to have is an audio clip of said event taking place, which cannot be found anywhere. And I clicked on, I remember how many websites where it said, Hagee plays audio clip for church, of supposed event. And everyone I clicked on said either audio or video not available. And then to what Kip just, the last 2 comments. Testimony telling 101? Absolutely. Absolutely. But then this part. The alleged shooter, gunman, supposedly went home, was deranged, demon-possessed, yada, yada, yada. And within days went home and hanged himself. Again, I found zero evidence. Zero evidence. None. And there are no eyewitnesses that, that's something to y'all tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm trying to be a good skeptic here. But if there was evidence, if there were eyewitnesses, I think we could jump on the Go Ogle and pretty quickly be able to collaborate that story. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being biased. Doubt it. But when the motherfucker changes his story 8 times and no one is backing up your claim, I'm sorry, bro. I'm not with you. Excuse me. This is some 1 Corinthians 15 level of verification. Let the church say amen.
What a rush.
And as Robert says, roll tape.
Of eternity. Everything that's going to happen in the future worth mentioning is going to happen in Jerusalem. Forget Washington, Berlin, Paris. They are know-nothings at the end of a dirt road. The thing that is really significant in the world tomorrow is the Jerusalem.
Yeah, the other thing, this is more of a funny take. I think Dr. Kill had said something about, did this man eat a baby? Possibly. Again, I have to be a skeptic. Possibly. But he has always been a large man. But when I look at him, like when the camera's pointed directly at his face, he looks like Fat Bastard's brother. How? Whose channel is this on? No, it's fucking TBN.
Oh yeah, you can't use that shit.
God damn you, TBN. Well, guess what? I can find it on a non-monetized channel. They don't want that smoke. They don't want that smoke. Guess who's back? Back again. All right, so we'll finish Hagee up because TBN doesn't want anybody like actually challenging the bullshit that they broadcast. So we're going to shift to Dr. Kill's two favorite doctors. We're going to shift there because there's one that I've been, holy shit, that dude was on TikTok like 3 years ago. That's crazy. Anyway, we're gonna switch gears and go to Dr. Kill's favorite two doctors on the interwebs. If I can get it to pull up. There we go. Oh, shut up. All right. Let me get up so we don't have to watch their whole fucking intro. All right, here we go. Boys and girls of all ages. The Atheist Network Group YouTube channel is not too proud to present Braxton and Mistit Pritchett of Trinity Radio. And the title of this one, Before You Become an Atheist, Watch This. Before you become an atheist, watch this. These are my two favorite Christian YouTubers. They're so cute. They're adorbs.
Welcome to Trinity Radio. I'm Braxton Hunter, and along with me today is
a very short Jonathan Pritchett, apparently.
You do look a little short. Let's see if we can fix that up. And while we do, why don't you open the show for everyone?
Yeah. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we did not adjust the cameras, but
a little bit down today.
No.
One of those things.
Friday.
Yeah, I can't handle them sped up. It's like chipmunks on meth. They have extreme cases of meth breath, and it's just fuming in your face. But yes, this is Trinity Radio. This is, and I use this very playfully. Dr. Jonathan Mr. Pritchett and Dr. Braxy Hunter. Welcome to the Atheist Network Group, where we love theists most of the time.
You can't always put your finger on why, but that's all right, because I'm generally an optimistic, happy guy, and we're not going to let that get us down.
No, we're not. So as far as can atheists fulfill, that's kind of the question that we're asking. Got a couple articles to look at, but first, I want to talk about something that comes out of Galatians 5 about the offense of the cross. Now, of course, in context, you go back to Galatians 3, what do they talk about? Faith. They're talking about works. They're talking about, curses everyone who doesn't do everything that's written in this book, which is a quote from Deuteronomy. And then a few verses later, there's another quote from Deuteronomy that curses anyone who hangs on a tree. So that's kind of offensive to Jews, right? That this guy that did hang on a tree is your way of justification, not following works of the law, circumcision, all that, right? But the other point being, this law is not sufficient to bring righteousness, so all of your efforts to fulfill that law are going to...
And by the way, if you missed it, if you go back in our catalog, archives, whatever here on the channel, there is an episode that I did with Dr. Kill and Dr. Josh, and I played a clip where they were doing an open Q&A on a Friday or whatever, and I went onto my sock account, and I love that term, sock account. It sounds dirty, but I went on to their Q&A under my sock account, and I asked Kip, that's a great question. I was thinking about our stream and I missed it. I'll rewind it here in a second. But I went in the live and I asked them, where and or how could a person find any of their credentials as far as where they earned their doctorate, what did Kip, what did he call it? What did Mr. Pritchett call it? He said, I didn't do a dissertation. I did a thesis for my doctorate. And I asked it whether they're live in real time. Literally, Braxy gets out of his seat and starts looking on his bookshelves for for his manuscripts. And then Mr. Pritchett essentially just says, "No, I never did one. Never had to do one." Yeah, go back and watch it. Shit's hilarious.
Be in vain, right? So it's kind of...
Let that get us down.
No, we're not. So as far as can atheists fulfill, that's kind of the question that we're asking. Got a couple articles to look at. But first, I want to talk about something that comes out of Galatians 5 about the offense of the cross. Now, of course, in context, you go back to Galatians 3, what do they talk about? Faith. They're talking about works. They're talking about, curses everyone who doesn't do everything that's written in this book, which is a quote from Deuteronomy. Then a few verses later, there's another quote from Deuteronomy that curses anyone who hangs on a tree. So that's kind of offensive to Jews, right? That this guy that did hang on a tree is your way of justification, not following works of the law, circumcision, all that, right? But the other point being, this law is not sufficient to bring righteousness, so all of your efforts to fulfill that law are going to be in vain, right? So it's kind of the offense of the cross is kind of twofold. One,
what's up, Rick?
For a Jewish audience, you're asking us to put down this thing that's been with us in Sinai. For someone.
Yeah, I need to hear that again.
What happens when the prostate enlarges and the urine channel gets tight? You have an enlarged prostate. Do this 5.
Oh, what the God damn it.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we did not adjust the cameras, but
a little bit down today.
No,
one of those things.
Friday.
You can't always put your finger on why, but that's all right because I'm generally an optimistic, happy guy, and we're not going to let that get us down.
No, we're not. So, as far as can atheists fulfill? That's kind of the question that we're asking. Got a couple articles to look at, but first, I want to talk about something that comes out of Galatians 5 about the offense of the cross. Now, of course, in context, you go back to Galatians 3, what do they talk about? Faith. They're talking about works. They're talking about, curses everyone who doesn't do everything that's written in this book, which is a quote from Deuteronomy. And then a few verses later, there's another quote from Deuteronomy that curses anyone who hangs on a tree. So that's kind of offensive to Jews, right? That this guy that did hang on a tree is your way of justification, not following works of the law, circumcision, all that, right? But the other point being, this law is not sufficient to bring righteousness, so all of your efforts to fulfill that law are going to be in vain, right? So it's kind of the offense of the cross is kind of twofold. One, for a Jewish audience, you're asking us to put down this thing that's been with us in Sinai for someone that's hung on a cross. Okay, there's that, and then the double offense of, with that, all of our effort to keep this Torah is going to be useless for justification for Yahweh. So but we've kind of taken that phrase, the offense of the cross, and in our culture where everyone seems to be oversensitive, there's this notion that Christians will sometimes kind of the piety police will come around and they'll say to Christians, now look, the gospel on its own is offensive. So no need to compound the offense, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the question I'm asking is, why do people say that, and what is it about the gospel?
Maybe I'm just the idiot here. I don't even know what the fuck he's trying to say, Kip. I'm glad you do. Can you? I muted everybody else in the chat. Dr. Kip, can you inform me on exactly what he was talking about? Because I have no idea what the fuck he's even trying to say. It's not for lack of not reading the Bible, but I didn't feel like that was a coherent thought or argument. But okay, I unmuted everybody else. I'd appreciate the help. Thank you.
Gospel itself that is offensive, rather than why you would the person presenting it be the offensive person, because they say you don't be offensive.
Well, I could turn on my webcam, as I have recently, and read 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11 about those people that are not going to inherit the kingdom, and other passages like that.
Yeah, the will not inherit vice lists, as they're called.
And you know what?
And there's one in Ephesians.
When you do that, that offends people. Because what's offensive is the call to live like Jesus and put down your sin, especially if...
Oh, I just noticed. I'm not going to take credit for this. I'm going to play my skeptic card. I'm going to take credit. But I just noticed that Braxy has removed the cult, that little picture thingy hanging on his wall that said something about a cult. But the only word that was like in bold and enlarged, that's what she said, was the word cult. And I pointed it out, and it's gone. No, fuck it. I am going to take credit for it.
Your sins you have taken on as a part of your identity.
See, that's what I think it is as well. But in that is more of getting into the debate between the Soterion gospel and the King Jesus gospel, because the Soterion gospel is the let's take 1 Corinthians 15, 3 through 7.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take out the phrases in accordance with the scriptures so that it's just Jesus died on the cross and rose from the grave, and then that way we don't have to smuggle in all the
so like
other
if you went
stuff
with the focused in gospel message, because of course gospel is a more general.
Also, I know, unless something's changed since the last time I heard him say it, I know that Mystic Pritchett is married for the love of God. For the love of God. You heard it, Pritchett. Please let your wife do your shopping. That shirt is horrendous.
Term than people think it is, because there are multiple things,
right?
And from the beginning of Mark, we were talking.
Yeah.
So like you're saying though, like if we take what most people think of as the root gospel message, that Jesus was dead, buried, rose again, and appeared to all these people.
Yes.
You're saying, why would that be offensive?
Right. Unless you add back in accordance with the scriptures, which is the whole story of redemption and human failure and folly and all of that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, technically, you could preach the gospel without mentioning hell. We know that the people in the book of, we know that non-believers and some Christians find hell offensive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially the progressive.
No, not offensive, abusive. See, Mystic Pritchett, that's how you earned that nickname from me. You completely missed the point. You completely missed the point almost every time. Not all the time, but all fucking most. Not offensive, abusive.
Progressive types or whatever, but you can preach the gospel without mentioning the word hell, because every single person other than Jesus who preached the gospel to lost people, like in the book of Acts, for example, never mentioned hell. The closest you get, like James saying, tongues set on the fires of hell, but that's not talking about, it's the fires of Gehenna. That's not really talking about if you don't believe the gospel, you'll go to hell. That's not what he's saying. So we know that you can do that.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
Bye, Felicia.
So the closest you get is judgment and shame, like if you think about Acts chapter 17. So what I think is offensive is when you're presenting the gospel that you're a sinner, right? Whether you mention hell or not, you can present judgment, because I think that's what you find in Acts,
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus lets us know, and John tells us what that judgment is going to be like, however you shake that out, right, among the views. But I think ultimately what's offensive is...
Okay, can we just get to the atheist part, please?
Is what you said. It's the repentance part that says, no matter what someone could concede, yeah, it's nice that Jesus thought he was doing something on behalf of humanity, but the idea that I have to change all of these things about myself, I think that is the real offense.
That's offensive. Well, but also I could see the gospel being offensive outside of, anywhere in the Gentile context, because it stands, the resurrection message itself, especially if we get any more detail around that, right, is at odds with other world religions. So any religion that you encountered, especially if you underscored the exclusivity of Christianity, you tick off all those people from other religions.
Right, because the second you say, I think
Real quick, while you're formulating that point, Jim Amberg says, if you're feeling down, move that statue out of the way and rock some Xbox on that big old TV behind Dr. P for the rest of the day. Some days you just need to blow off a little steam.
He said Dr. P. He said Dr. P.
What are you people? On dope?
That's hysterical.
Yes, and as president, you can do that. As vice president of academic affairs, if I wanted to do that, I would have to take up space in your office.
You have to get a 100 on your spelling test, and then you'll get special privileges.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was saying is, the your center part, when you define what that is, and that will take you to the big will not inherit lists, and then there's plenty of others, right? That you can go back to the laws, the tutor, and nobody's there. I think that that is offensive to people because there's no way to not be needlessly offensive, as I think is the point. Because the whole point of the cross is that Jesus died for all of those horrible things that you do that also Jesus demands you stop doing, right? And so once you get into what those things are, I don't think that there's any way to not be offensive. And in fact,
Bible describes. Here's the thing: the Bible, which I know we're talking about the gospel, and now even a focused in on the gospel, but the Bible describes itself or the message of it as an offensive weapon. And if you go around waving an offensive weapon around in society, you might upset some people. The most important thing is that you don't be like some TV preachers who you can find anywhere you are in the Western world who look like they got up in the morning deciding who can I tick off with the gospel, when that shouldn't necessarily be your stated goal. Your goal should be to present the gospel, and if it offends people...
All right, I'm going to try to get to the atheist part. This is fucking boring.
Play it on Stadia. I can still play it on Xbox.
Do you have an Xbox here?
No, but I won't play anything here. But
you did play PUBG here. I'm going to out you. I'm looking at your old
there
Google
was a time I
controller.
played it once.
Ooh, yeah. The next part is, what is sin?
Here, all right. Yeah. Back to it. Oh, yeah.
Yes, to the last couple comments. It is offensive to people because you think that every other worldview is incomprehensible without Christianity. And bingo was his name. Oh. Is this about the gospel is offensive? That's open-ended. Braxton missed it. And the Bible does not describe itself. Sometimes the New Testament describes the Old Testament badly, though. I concur. All right, now let's listen to this. This has to be gold. This has to be gold. The next timestamp is titled "What is Sin?" This has to be good.
Okay, what is the definition of sin? Why should atheists be concerned about sin? Because there is a penalty for sin, whether you choose to believe in sin or not, or in God or not. The penalty is still there. It's like if you decide you don't care what the speed limit is, guess what? There's still a speed limit, and you still might get pulled over, and there's still a penalty to pay. So if you don't believe, then I guess you shouldn't care about what the Christian message regarding sin is. On the other hand, if you're an atheist and you say, well, I don't believe in sin, as if that, when we're talking about morality or something, everyone is a sinner, at least in the sense that you as an atheist or an agnostic or whatever have done things that you think are wrong by your own standards.
That's not a sin, though. So let's do what we do here on Tang that these motherfuckers don't even know how to do, and that's just go Ogle and search the simple definition. See, that doctorate that I earned from a certain organization to be named later, and my dissertation is in a vault somewhere where you'll never be able to find it. I learned about this precious, invaluable, priceless tool that we call Go Ogle. typed in definition of sin. An immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine law. An immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine law. Now, another key part of this is I now open a separate tab. That way I still have the definition of sin up. Now I open up a brand new fresh tab, right? Dr. Braxton, Dr. Missed It. Open up a separate tab. Now I'm going to search the definition of divine. I'm so grateful for Dr. Josh. They like teaching me these precious tools like Google. Divine. Of, from, or like God or a God. So you're full of shit. Embargoed. That's the word. See, I'm still working on the big words, guys. My doctorate was not in the field of big wordology. And I'll stop there.
So if we hold you to your own standards, you've done things wrong. Are you really going to tell me you've never sat back and thought, I was really a jerk to that guy today. I wish I hadn't said it that way. Or something equivalent? Of course you have. You're a human being, and you're not a perfect human being. And none of us are. And so as a result of that, you still sin, even if you call it something else. In addition to that, whether or not you believe that God exists and that Christianity is true, if it is, you're still facing penalties, whether you think so or not.
And how does Braxy and Missed It know this? Because the Bible tells them so.
Yeah, amen. I mean, we could.
Amen.
I mean, sin.
Oh, wrong button. God damn it. God damn it. I killed the moment.
What? Do you have a warm, fuzzy feeling in your stomach right now?
You know, you can, Harmatia, you could say missing the mark. Bible says, you know, sin is breaking the law. Mm-hmm. You also have the idea of sin as a personified cosmic power that's a slave master, that's a ruler. You know, sin reigns and death, for example, you know, where death reigns. So these are cosmic ruling powers, right? So you can speak of it metaphor like that.
I'm sorry, y'all. I cannot take a grown-ass adult talking about cosmic powers. Cosmic powers. And in the context, they're using these words as like supernatural and shit. Cosmic powers. And they actually believe that this shit influences our reality. Guess what, bruh?
What are you people? On dope?
Yep. They're on that Jesus juice.
But essentially, like as far as sinning, falling short, you know, missing the target, anything that falls short of what God's standard is for humanity, that He gets to set as creator, and says, and I mean, that's the basic definition. And a lot of what you find outlined as sin has some overlap with what you just find in law codes throughout all of history. Some of it you don't, right? So it's in the United States now, technically, it's not like you go to jail for committing adultery. So that's not like a legal issue. They could put you in prison now. But it is still a sin. So it's not just like if you have national laws and you break those are bad. God's standard goes beyond just that. So
Nikki says, TGIF, y'all.
Yeah.
That's because God loves to know what all of us are doing with our genitalia. He's obsessed. You sick fuck.
He says, I was a Jewish atheist for 54 years. As an atheist, I was super offended with any religious belief. And then I thought they added something else, but that's enough to make the point. So, yeah, they thought it was just stuff to make people feel bad.
So to close out this section, I'm just going to say, look, there's no way to not be offensive. So when someone tells you the gospel is offensive enough, it's not going to be offensive to modern people for the same reasons Paul was saying in Galatians why it'd be offensive to Jews. And it's not going to be folly to non-believers in exactly the same way that it was folly to Greeks, because a lot of our culture doesn't believe in the idea of their pantheon versus Yahweh and Jesus, you know, dying on a cross, basically losing. Why are we getting? That's one of the. You put Jesus in the L category for the Greeks as opposed to some of the gods that they have that they would put in the W category. So it's like that's kind of foolishness to them, but it's still going to be foolishness for other grounds, right? And it's still. And I think the only way that you can find is to be quote unquote needlessly offensive and tell people why the gospel was necessary in the first place. And so there's no way to avoid it. Anyway, as far as
real quick, Gray's 174 says, hey, is there an academic
Afro atheist? I'm assuming that the individual is a Jew that was an atheist. But that's me speculating.
defense of the killing your cat explanation of hell? If you don't know what that is, I'll just say go check out. It was on one of the videos. I think it was last week's video. They think it's really bad, but we'll try to give it a fair shake. Someone wrote a legit paper. I don't know where a paper exists about that. It has come up quite a bit. In fact, when I was at Rethinking Hell in Seattle a couple of years ago, in a panel discussion, Chris Date even mentioned that he used to use this but doesn't anymore. Because yes, as a conditional immortality advocate, he still believes that you will be dead everlastingly, and so it still works. But here is where I think people trip up with this. All right, you take a stair step of judgment, and what this is supposed to do is show you with your intuitions that it should say something about what your judgment should be for sinning against God. So you say, okay, what's the penalty for sinning against a cat?
Did I hear that right? Now we're injecting intuition into the equation? Would that be similar to faith? Oh, okay.
So to speak, by killing it. Okay, then what? Compare that to the penalty for sinning against a man by killing him, right?
Right.
That makes a stair step. You see there that whatever the sin would have been, like we're using murder because it's the most obvious, or killing. Mm-hmm. But the point is to sin. Like whatever the sin would have been, it's just that we recognize that one. So you sin against a cat, you sin against a man, and what this is supposed to do is people will say, you don't kill God. I kill a cat, I kill a man, I don't kill God. So that doesn't even make any sense. Yeah. Well, the reason killing is used is just because it gets your intuition pump up there so you can.
I killed God. I killed God. And I now sit on the throne. Behind a curtain. I am Oz. The man behind the curtain. On a throne. And I killed God. And Kip, you would know you would know that better than me, bruh. Remember, I didn't do big wordology in my doctorate program.
You can see what we're saying with cats and humans. But what you still got, what you should have gotten is there is a sin, there is a penalty for a sin against a cat.
Yeah.
Not very big by comparison. A much bigger penalty for sinning against a man, and a much greater penalty for sinning against God. Now you might say, but I didn't do anything near to God like what you're describing of the cat and the human. Fair enough. But you sinned against God on Christian theology, and sinning against an everlasting holy God is that serious, even when compared with the death of a man or a death of a cat.
But first, we have to have the evidence that your God exists. Because if your God doesn't exist, guess what? No one gives a fuck about the word sin. Right? Right? No God, no sin. So first, we have to have the evidence that the God exists. You know what I mean?
Finish him.
Amen.
I think it still works.
I actually do too. It scales up. It's reasonable, but I'm glad somebody out there to fill a quarterly wrote a paper in defense so that somebody could have content.
I love it when Kip, Pat, Josh are in the chat or even live with me when I cover these guys. Oh God, it's priceless. I'm more entertained by reading their comments than I am by listening to these two douche canoes. I can't. Pat said a cat was one of two categories in the ancient world: property or free range animal. There was no penalty unless it was owned by someone. These guys are idiots. Oh man. And the offense was a property crime! !
You're fired.
You suck!
Make no mistake, academic
By the
journals,
way,
academic journals require the content, feed the beast just as much as like YouTube content creators.
I would like to know, seriously. I would like to know what theological items that are absolute garbage, right? I would want to know that to begin with.
Mhm.
What things that people have said about the Bible or about Moses or about whatever are absolute garbage, and then which one of those would not exist, would not be in our academics today if it weren't for somebody just wanting to get a dissertation through or an article written. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Uber Snyder says, by the way,
did you sons of bitches just say dissertation?
Prepare to be astonished.
Amazing.
hey, I cannot stick around today, but your custom engraved tumblers are on the way. Awesome.
Yeah, and Paul Ogia says, if sin is falling short of God's standards, then definitionally, if God doesn't exist, then neither does sin as an actual infraction. I agree completely, Paul.
Boom. Apologia. What up? Representing. And if you missed it, Shannon Q just had the homie Brady Goodwin Jr. on her channel Monday. I think it was Monday, whatever, but go check it out. Great conversation. But what up, Apologia?
Apologia, we agree. Shake hands.
Right.
But of course, that brings us always back around to the real question: does God exist? Is Christianity true?
Right.
And if so, what is he like?
Right.
Thanks for showing up, Paul. All right, Jonathan, on to your next piece that you wanted to talk
Don't
about.
be needlessly offensive is I don't know. I don't even know what that means anymore. But in a culture that's needlessly offended by everything, it's impossible to avoid, so don't worry about it. Atheism.
See, that's see, you continue to just earn and own that nickname that I so lovingly gave you. Missed it, Pritchett. You miss the point entirely. It's not about offense, bruh. It's not about offense. It's about abuse. It's about manipulation. It's about control. It's about trauma. It's about all of those things that you don't get because you think you're alpha and you're actually beta. In your light, I'm saying that from your lights. You approach this as this alpha male. Pup, beat my chest, got over everything. It's not about that, bro. And this is where most, not all, and I'll say it again, most, not all, atheists, non-believers, agnostics, skeptics, however you want to label us, is we're just better human beings than you are. Most of us. Because at the end of the day, before, and I'll say this, I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure most of the people that I engage with and have these conversations with would concur, is we're humanist, and we care about the well-being of the person. And even when I talk to theists, I hate your batshit crazy ideas. I hate that you spread this propaganda and try to tell people that or not try, you do, that you tell people that this made up thing that you can't demonstrate is true, that it is true. I hate that. But I don't wish any harm or any ill will on you, and I don't seek to offend anyone. I don't seek to piss people off. Now, I know that I say things that may offend and may piss people off. But what I know for certain is it's never, even when I say things playfully and I'm joking and I'm poking fun, the intention is not to do harm. Do I think you say a lot of dumb shit? Yeah, I do. Do I think you're very reckless with the dumb shit that you say? Absolutely. It's to me, you having the Bible and quoting the Bible is like giving a child a loaded revolver and never giving them training and just, hey, go have fun. That's how I see it. But that's why you will always have that nickname here on Tang, Missed It Pritchett, because you missed the point. It's not about offense. People are going to get offended. That part I agree with you. People are going to get offended, but this is not about offense. This is about things that people use to abuse and control and manipulate, that then causes trauma, PTSD, anxiety, like all of these different things, right? But you just want to minimize it and reduce it down to just people are getting butthurt because they're offended by the gospel message. They're offended by the work of the cross. Again, missed it, bruh. I was gonna hit play. Let me throw up a couple of these. Yeah, especially I'll give Braxy a little more credit on this. He at least appears to have a little more empathy for humans. Missed It Pritchett is 9 times out of 10 I hear him talk when it just comes to other people other than himself. He's a dick. He's just a fucking dick. Stephanie, get out of here. Arrogance is apparently not sinful. Get the hell out of here. And Ox, I actually appreciate you bringing this up, and I mean that because, well, let me read your comment, and then I'll share my thoughts on it. But aren't the atheists doing the same thing? I mean, half the people that see these Christians is on atheist channels. By showing their lies, you are in a way promoting their views. And just so you know, Jenna just gave you a thumbs up on that, and it is something. Actually, her and I have talked about this before, and it is something that I wrestle with. If I were just to hit play and let this shit go, and not interject and not push back on it, then yes, 100%, I would be in line with you. My point in doing it is, number one, to call out what I was just talking about, the abuse, the gaslighting, the manipulation, the arrogance, right? The dogma, like all of the bullshit, the abuse, everything that is to point that out. But then also, like, literally, like, it's part of it, I share the same view on this as Owen does from Telltale when it comes to, because he's had people ask him that when he's been live or whatever. Very similar question. It's pointing out the bullshit, but then just having a good laugh, sometimes at your own expense, because there is a time that I believe this, and I laugh at me sometimes, and it reminds me of how indoctrinated I was and how poisoned I became. And it's a reminder of how batshit crazy my ideals, and beliefs were, at a certain time in my life. So, but no, I appreciate that.
We came across an article that I thought was interesting. It's 5 reasons why atheists.
And Jenna, thank you for the coffee refill. I love you.
Make better husbands.
Oh, the last one in the list?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that this was kind of interesting.
All right.
All right. Why atheists make better husbands? Do tell.
Remember, I found the title is 5 reasons atheists make better husbands, as written by one. What's the name of the author?
Bob
Alaberta. Yeah. 5 atheists are better husbands. Okay. So he gives a story about he once dated a woman who rediscovered Jesus halfway through the relationship, not certain where he was hiding all this time, but she sure did find him. And yes, it felt a little awkward for my girlfriend to be with another man. Haha. Even if that other man didn't actually exist. I tried to be, okay, so we have a Jesus mythicist here. Okay. Anyway, things, but eventually.
Pritchett, did that fuck you up? Somebody's a mythicist?
Finish him.
Hashtag Jesus is a myth. Bitches.
There were things that I could, things that Jesus could give her that I just couldn't. Eternal salvation was a pretty big deal, I guess. In the end, her religion turned into the primary destructive force in our relationship, and not the discord in our beliefs. We were pretty much tolerant of each other in that respect, but the actual values and rules her religion forced her to follow. Learn from my mistakes. Here is why relationships are much better with a non-religious person. Okay, so here are 5 reasons atheists make better husbands. So he's kind of jumping from relationships to husbands and back again to relationships, kind of all over the place. He says, we believe that a healthy sex life is totally rad, not some sinful catch-22. With a religious person, sex is a damned if you do, damned if you don't proposition. Technically, only they're damned if they do. But your relationship is damned if you don't. With the 3 major religions, premarital sex and...
Yeah, that's where I'm just going to pause here because, again, via the organization to be named at some point, maybe not ever in the future, that I earned my doctorate from, and very well established scholars and historians in their field taught me is to go ogle. And I was doing that, and I don't want to go too far ahead here, but this Bob Alberta, never heard the name before, so let's do a little ogling. Ogle, right, babe? We'll go ogle. Go ogle. First thing that pops up, Roberts Alberto Market Asset Protection Leader, CVS Health. I don't think that's him. Bob Alberto, unemployed at this time via LinkedIn. Alberto #1, the official Bob Dylan site. Robert Alberto, an actor. Just Bob, your favorite unicorn cafe in Portland, Oregon. Alberta blues artist. Composed blues music. Yeah, I would need a link. I think I'm gonna need a linky link. Because that motherfucker's not readily available. I think Pritchett, I think you missed it again. Shocker.
You suck!
Gender shame, guilt, and self-loathing in the pious party. You either have no sex life or at all, or are someone who hates yourself a little more every time you do it. It's a recipe for resentment for both parties. Erasing God from the equation helps you both have a healthy, positive attitude about sex. You can still scream his name in bed if you want. Okay, so so you're okay with premarital sex?
Hold on. Great catch, Kip. That's why sometimes I probably shouldn't try to do the share screen, produce, and review content all at the same time. But I think for my ADHD ass, I do a decent job as far as comedy. As far as comedy is concerned. But wait, does Mystic Pritchett not realize that husband, in quotations, necessitates relationship, in quotations? I think he missed it. And great follow-up, Kip. I was born in Alberta. It only gets better. Oh, and then Stephanie comes in with the stinger. God's all about oral transmission. Oh boy, is he.
As an atheist,
I fucking love you guys.
How does it follow from that makes you a better husband? Because the whole point of premarital sex is sex before you're a husband.
Yeah, if we're talking about...
Wow. No wonder this dude has a doctorate. Brilliant take. That was a hot take, guys. Make sure you go back and you clip that. Just make sure you go back and clip that out. Put that on all your social medias. That was groundbreaking information right there. Kudos and a big shout out to Dr. Jonathan Misted Pritchett.
Within marriage,
yeah,
who's better? Is that what it is? Who's better?
Yeah.
Who's
a better husband?
Better husbands. And the reason is because they're allowed to have a lot of premarital sex. I guess that's number one.
Yeah, because
they like sex.
Yeah.
And not just that they like sex, because
you don't feel guilty before you're ever a husband or a wife having sex.
What's the catch-22? We believe that having a healthy sex life is totally rad. Okay, I'm on board.
Acting like it's your relationship. If you're in a relationship with someone who's a believer and you're not a believer or whatever, it's better for you to become a non-believer because.
Come on, Pritchett. We all know you ain't getting that gushy stuff with that shirt. We already know it. And Kip, this is work, man. This is hard work. These arguments are they're serving up some stumpers. I'll tell you, just stumping us.
Because you won't have to be in this catch-22 that if you don't have sex, your relationship's going to end. But if you do have sex, you're going to have guilt and shame and whatever if you're the believer.
What? In the marriage?
That's my point. This whole thing is the first reason why atheists make better husbands has nothing whatsoever to do with the marriage.
Directly, anyway.
Yeah.
Someone could argue. Now, let me.
No, see? Missed it. Pritchett. Guys, do you see why I gave him this nickname? You don't even have to read between lines. Just listen to the motherfucker talk. Shit just right the fuck over his head.
Let me be the atheist here.
Okay.
Someone could argue and say, well, look, actually, yes, because this premarital sex and purity culture type messaging has led to a situation where now...
Yeah, and you know what? Let's keep it real. Like when what's the example I want to use? An analogy that I would like to draw. Maybe break it down to its most simple form for Mr. Pritchett. Well, you know what? I'm a shoe guy. I love my Jordans. I'm obsessed with dress boots. I don't like dress shoes. I only have a few pair of those, but I love dress boots. I love nice looking boots. I don't buy the motherfucking Jordans. I don't buy the motherfucking boots until I try them shits on. And I gotta know that the fucking shoe fits on the foot. Because believe it or not, Mr. Pritchett and Braxy, the divorce rate within the Christian community in the United States is well over 50%. Why is that, do you ask? You didn't try the motherfucking shoe on. What was that, babe? Ha! Try the motherfucking shoe on. I'm not even going to the rest of that because there's other points I could make on, at least having a little practice, have a little experience before you tie that knot. And I would encourage you to not tie the knot, but that's a whole nother episode.
People want to get married way too fast because that's the only way they get to have sex, permissible to their religion. And so they end up marrying for the wrong reasons because it's more about my immediate lusts and sex than anything else. And as a result, it's going to be harder to be a good husband or a good wife because the whole thing initially was about sex.
Yeah, wouldn't it have been better had that atheist wrote the argument?
Do what? If I was the atheist that wrote the argument?
Right. Exactly.
You think that makes a better point?
Right, because I don't quite see the thing here. Now I know it's rare these days for even Christians to get married as a virgin to a virgin. That's not my situation. That's not a lot of people's situation. But it is, in fact, your situation.
Yeah.
With you and your wife, both married virgin. How disappointing is your sex life, Braxton?
Well, I don't want to speak for...
See, here's the thing. If that is the case, I'll take their word for it that Braxy and his partner, they've only known each other sexually, intimately. They don't know. It could be completely lousy sex. You ain't fucking for nothing. But it is the best to them because that's all they fucking know, right? But they could be having lousy, terrible sex. They're never going to know that. Why? Because you just put the shoe on the foot. Now that's the only fucking shoe you know. You don't know what a comfortable shoe feels like. You don't know what it feels like to actually have a shoe that fits your foot and like you can walk and there's space and your toes aren't crammed and it's not like riding up in the arch of your foot, where it gives you fucking foot cramps and shit. Like, but you don't. All you know is you think the foot cramp and the jamming of the toes. You think that's good. That's a good fit, right? Like this is how a good fitting shoe feels. And every shoe and every boot that I buy should feel just like this. But you don't know that. Comedy
for my wife, but things are pretty good.
Right. And
yeah, you're bullshitting. You're bullshitting. Things are pretty good. That was a Trump right there. There's a Trumpism. They're pretty good. I'm the best at good than any good could ever be a good. It's huge. That was a Trumpism right there. Pretty good. Meaning you're full of shit.
I imagine she would say the same thing.
Okay, here's a question. Yeah. How upset would you be if Calvinism was true?
A little. Not a lot, but a little.
Upset. See, this is weird for me because I'm one of those people that rarely, if ever, has even gotten, and not that I think I'm better than anyone, mad at God, right? Like, I never really saw the point.
People got mad at God in the...
Jason, I don't have tiny hands. So I can't truly do a Trump impression because I don't have the little hands. And Jenna, look at the tree, says, your background noise is highly appreciated.
Bible.
I know it's biblical. I mean, it happens biblically speaking, but I've just never been that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, I know the score. Like, I know what's up here. I know. Yeah. Okay. I get that. So that.
And I meant to read it to you before I hit play. Bree said, it is now headcanon that Oz wears boots on his dong.
that didn't ever really do anything. But so in a similar way, why am I mad at God that determinism is true? I mean, do I even
because
know?
you can't not be if determinism is true.
Right. I mean, if I can, if I am,
and you know what, us atheists, we may be worse partners, worse husbands than you guys. We'll give you credit. We're not out here to, measure penises and shit. But we are better content creators because we can actually fucking make jokes and laugh. You should try it sometime. No, actually don't. I can only imagine. No, don't do that. Fuck what I just said. Do not do that. Stay in your lane.
You got mad about it.
Well, it's kind of like
what can you do about it?
Anytime I see someone do this, and I saw someone that I respect, I think, do this not too long ago, say something like, "Well, if Calvinism was true, I don't think I could worship that God, or I'd be angry at that God, or something."
Yeah,
I thought to myself, I used to say that. I used to say that when I was a teenager, and even as a younger guy in his 20s. I used to say that, but then I realized, like, wait a minute, if he's God, he's God, and then I thought, plus, if I did or didn't hate.
This is so weird to me. Like, we're talking about fucking, right? We're talking about fucking. We're talking about their wives. We're talking about fucking. Why is God even in the conversation? Especially if you're a married Christian. Why the fuck is God in the conversation? Do you, boo? Do all the fucking. And it doesn't just have to be missionary, because I feel like Mistit, Pritchett, and Braxton are like the straight missionary all the time, every time. That's the only way you can do it, because that's somehow what God commands. I don't remember that being in the Bible. But we're talking about fucking, man. If you're married, get it. Do the damn thing. Obviously, make sure both parties are consensual to whatever it is you're doing, but as long as everybody's consenting, fucking do the damn thing. Get it.
Hate God or not worship him. Whatever happens is just determined anyway on Calvinism for his glory, for his good. I mean, whatever it turns out to be, that's the picture he painted, right?
Yeah.
So,
including you being upset about it.
I'd be confused. I'd be very confused.
Well, that's two. I mean, what could you do about it?
Well,
right?
I wanted to highlight a story of the channel Angel here.
Yeah.
Who is Jim Amberg, and I don't know where he said it, but he talked about when he was a Calvin, or when he's an atheist. I don't know if he was ever a Calvinist.
Oh, yeah. Captain, you left. You missed all the fuckery. And does the shoe fit? You have to rewind for that part.
Where did it go? But anyway, he said about the subject you just raised, the romantic side of things.
Yeah.
Well, he said that it's been better since being a Christian.
Well, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, Jason, that shit's weird. That shit's fucking weird.
People that have done some research that have found that, like, happily married, faithful Christian couples have
better sex.
Well, religious couples in general, and then Christian couples in a couple studies in particular. Though some people have taken issue with those studies, but that's because they don't like the conclusions, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that if you are a Christian happily, or if you're a Christian and you get married, that you're going to have a wonderful sex life. But just on average, they seem to report higher satisfaction.
Where do we have citations? These are all assertions, and I'm going to. If I was a betting man, I would put money against your claim. There's a reason that within the Christian community in the United States of America, that the divorce rate is now well beyond 50%, because what we can very easily go ogle, which I've done in the past, is find out many, many reports that the two leading causes of divorce, and this is in general, theist, atheist, none, whatever we want to call each other. The two leading reasons are sex and money, or money and sex. I forget the order that it goes in as far as which one is more impactful on the D word. And I'm not talking about dicks. Yeah, I would put money against it. I need some citations, bruh. Assertions and insertions. Now we're getting into all the perversions. See, don't get me going, y'all. Don't get me rhyming.
Religious people in general and Christians in particular. So there's a...
If Calvinism turns out to be true, I would be very sad and disappointing, but you wouldn't be disappointing. You'd be disappointed, but I'd have to live with it.
Well, disappointing works too, because I mean, you would be disappointed.
I mean, if you're disappointed, that's what.
I mean, embrace worm theology. You're always disappointing, right? You are just walking around disappointed.
Okay, now Kevin. Now I don't want to upset any particular groups of Christians, but I will say this: our comments are not necessarily tailored around the Catholic Church, so there could be things there that we.
I could, in the sense that they don't believe in birth control, and if you have a whole bunch of kids, that can put a hindrance in your.
If it works, if the Catholic,
but you still have time to have sex to have enough kids.
Every time we talk about sex, no.
What was that, Pritchett? What was that?
Any particular groups of Christians, but I will say this. Our comments are not necessarily tailored around the Catholic Church, so there could be things there that we.
I could, in the sense that they don't believe in birth control, and if you have a whole bunch of kids, that can put a hindrance in your.
If it works, if the Catholic,
but you still have time to have sex to have enough kids.
Every time we talk about sex, nobody listens.
You still have time to have the time to have the sex. I could tell how comfortable you are with that conversation, Pritchett. Still have the time to do the time thing with the sex thing. Where does this thing go?
To that episode. Let's get away from sex. Right. I guess people just don't want to hear us talk about that. Okay, what's your next thing, Pritchett?
Well, we got more points. 5 reasons why.
Oh, that was just one of the points.
Yeah, that was just one of the points.
So this first point has nothing to do directly anyway.
Yeah.
You come first in our life.
Yeah.
If you date a devout follower of a religion, you'll never be the most important thing in their life. It came down to you or their God. Guess what? Guess who has power over their eternal soul? Not you. Not even the Ghostbusters. With an atheist or agnostic, you'll never have to compete and lose. Okay, fine.
How does that make you a better husband?
I think that, all right, here we go. You want to hear something really cheesy?
Here's why. And again, Pritchett and Braxton this time, whoosh, right over your head. There is no one more important. Like if no matter what your world view is, if that is what you want to be married, you want to sign the paper, you want to do all of that, and it be the traditional monogamous, all of those things. Yes, I think it's 100% more healthy to not believe in a deity and not believe in a God. One, because of the competition, but two, especially if it's one of the Abrahamic religions, we know what the Bible says about the women and how the women should submit and the women should serve, and they're second-rate citizens, right? Fuck that. Fuck all that noise. As Dr. Josh says, miss me with that bullshit. Miss me with all that bullshit. But especially Pritchett, I know you don't get it because you are you think you're an alpha that's actually a beta.
You want to hear something that's really I grew up in cheesy church culture, and guess what?
What?
Some of the little bumper sticker type things are true. Okay? And the thing that everybody does in premarital counseling, where you have, this will just tick off the evangelical raised atheist here, but where you have like the triangle, you have a triangle.
Ooh, he says he's going to tick off the former evangelicals. Let's get ready.
What a rush!
You ready? You ready, guys?
And on either side of the triangle is you and your spouse. You know, and as you get closer to God, who's at the top of the triangle, you're
get
closer to each other. Dadgummit, that's right.
That is right.
Sorry if I blew your speakers
I agree.
That's it? That was supposed to piss me off? That was supposed to piss me off? You have to draw a diagram for your sex life? That's supposed to piss me off? I actually find that to be problematic, which now confirms for me what you said earlier about my sex life is pretty good. I do all the good. I'm the best at the good. Now I know you confirmed that that was bullshit. When you have to draw diagrams to demonstrate or show how your sex life works, how the intimacy in your relationship works, you got motherfucking problems.
Bye, Felicia.
Look, I know a lot of people who would
spit it out, Pritchett. Bare your soul.
Okay, here's the thing. I like the way a guy, I can't remember his name, he was a Calvinist guy who had a blog who said he liked hanging out with non-Calvinists more than Calvinists. Tribal or whatever. What's the
I have to admit,
tribal blog? Or I can't remember the name of it. It was an interesting blog. Anyway, I like something he said because he's like, I have a lot of firsts. He says, I put God first so that I can put my wife first. I put my wife first so I can put my kids first. I put my kids first so I can put my job first. I put my jobs first so I can put my friends first. I put my friends first so I can, put my community first.
We got it, Pritchett. You like being the bottom. That's okay. You like being the little spoon. That's okay. We established that on one of your live streams, and both of you turned homophobic like that. And then tried to turn it around on me once you realized what the fuck you were saying was homophobic as fuck. But we get it. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Be the little spoon, bro. Be the bottom man. It's all good. Like there's literally no hate, no shame, nothing coming from my direction. But just own it. Just own it. Be you, bro. Be you, be happy. Do what the fuck you want. But quit giving this false alpha. I'm Christian man. I Christian man. Like, quit with that shit.
So it's like you could have the umbrella or the triangle, right? And the closer you get to God, the closer you get to each other. And I do affirm that. But it's like I put God first so that I like the way he said it, so I could put all these other things first, right?
It's like, it's similar to what annoys me when people say, and this will annoy some people that I'm saying this annoys me, but when people say, well, now, your God comes first. You're like, if you're in ministry, if you're a pastor or something, this is what they all say, is God comes first, your family comes second, and then your ministry comes third. And I'm like, hold on. God comes first, as well as my ministry in God's name. It's just that the first group to whom I'm ministering is my family.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's not like third comes my ministry. All of it is ministry, and my family comes first in that order.
Yeah. Putting God first in your marriage. Okay. Let's for all of you sex obsessed people, you were reading 1 Corinthians. It's like, okay, so you're married, like your body is not yours.
Rick, I'm pretty confident this isn't the first time that you've watched or heard me review, especially shit with Pritchett on here. But if this is the first time, because I could be wrong, logic, like common sense, like logic, and I don't mean common sense like I don't mean that in a derogatory, like, use common sense, stupid. Like, I don't mean just common sense, logic, being rational. There's a reason he earned the nickname here at Tang, Mystic Pritchett. He doesn't understand that there's only a first. Remember, and this is for everyone, they believe that 3 gods are one God, but are also 3 separate gods, while being one God, while still being 3 separate gods, but still being one. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Belongs to your spouse. Your spouse's body is not hers. It belongs to you, right? So have sex whenever you want to with each other, except for when the other one wants to go pray every now and then. Or need some quiet time.
Well, in fact, except for a time of fasting or something.
And prayer and whatever. So it's kind of like, and it's kind of like, hey, that's, seems like it.
Hold on. Stop the presses. Little sis is in the building. What's up, Biddy? Love you, miss you. We were talking about the Rapture and the end times, and then Trinity Broadcast Network, they don't like to be challenged, especially Mr. Hagee, the Neo of Christianity that dodges bullets and shit. They don't like to be challenged. So we had to move to these 2 goofballs, which it is more funny. They say more dumb shit. So there's that. And we also talked about making sure that the shoe fits, if you know what I mean. You have to go back and rewind. Comedy.
Not a bad idea to put God first and then take a break from all.
Oh, I do too. I love Rapture talk. I love the end times. These people, like they want the world to end. They want the world to end because that means they get to hang out with Daddy for forever, which sounds horrible to me. That just sounds horrible. And I love my dad, but I do. There's a reason, like when my baby mama and I split and divorced, I went and stayed at my mom's house. It lasted, at that time my mom and I were still close. It only took 2 weeks, and I was like, "I'm out, Mom. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm not trying to spend eternity forever and ever and ever. No."
All the sex that you should be having as Christians to go.
Obviously, this does not speak of abusive relationships.
Right.
And
I mean, just normal, healthy marriages.
Yeah, right.
Right. I mean, it's like people think the idea of putting God first means that takes away from all the other things. But back to the Christians have happier sex lives.
Pat, you're talking about Kentucky, right? KY? Like the state of Kentucky? I'm asking for a friend.
Information is just like if sex is the most important thing for you in a marriage, which I don't think that it is, but it's important. I'm not going to say it's not.
Yeah.
When you get old, if you're in your 90s, it becomes less. But I'm just saying, it's like this idea that this guy seems obsessed with sex, so we'll just talk about that too. It's just, there's this idea that putting God first means you can't put your spouse first.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, no, I put God first so I can.
Oh, this is where I wish I had my DJ, my turntables hooked up. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Where you at, YouTube? You want to hit me with another copyright strike? What?
Can put my spouse first.
and Tim the Ancient makes a good point, because what goes in place of God, in this domain, atheists don't even believe this point. He says you would leave someone who turned out to be a serial killer, right? Then I guess ethics comes first before your spouse. I guess I'm second best. So the idea is you get rid of God, there's still some worldview or life goal or purpose or way of thinking about ethics and morality that would supersede certain things. And so if we're just ordering out things, well, you still got something.
These motherfuckers don't get it. Guys, they don't get it. No, yes, you're talking about worldviews or in your case, religious views, cultural views, societal views. Like, you're talking about those. That's one conversation. Then we're talking about the person. Those are two completely different things. I'm in love with Jenna. I'm not in love with my quote unquote worldview. Like, do you get it? Do you get it? Probably not. Probably not. Yes, Rick. Newsflash. They don't get it. Ding, 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 ding. Now on your local evening headline news. Missed it, Pritchett. Missed it again.
Up there above your spouse, it's just not God, it's something else.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very good point. I love Tim the Ancient. I love his Twitter feed.
Tim the Ancient had one of his...
Oh, that just about... Tina, thank you. I'm going to have to go back into the vaults and get Uncle Clyde out. Y'all be ready. As soon as I'm done with this stream, I'm breaking out Uncle Clyde. You don't know nothing about nothing. You don't know nothing about nothing. That's way back in the Atheist Roundtable days, and when I was actually trying to see if TikTok liked me or loved me, and I found out quickly that TikTok hates me. But the one thing that I did do that had some success and is fucking hilarious is I have a character that I use a Snapchat filter for, and his name is Uncle Clyde, and I forgot about Uncle Clyde. And when we're done here, I'm gonna resurrect Uncle Clyde, and Uncle Clyde's gonna have a conversation with Missed It and Brexy. That's gonna be amazing.
What a rush!
And I'm finally his Facebook friend too. I rarely ever send out Facebook requests because I just don't do that because I don't want to
because you're on MySpace.
I'm inviting you to my obnoxious Facebook wall because it is obnoxious. It's just dad jokes all the way down. But I did want to be Tim the Ancient's friend because I admire his Twitter feed that much.
Well, I read a big quote from him about us at the end of the video I posted today from Trinity Radio.
Yeah, my two favorite people on Twitter is Derek Beeler and Tim the Ancient. Not you, not even Eric Hernandez, who is the greatest living apologist on the planet. Happy birthday yesterday, Eric Hernandez, by the way. I'm sorry that as you get older, you're not going to get any taller, but happy birthday anyway. Your growth spurts are over, my friend, but happy birthday.
So what?
I wish you were as funny. I wish you were as funny when you're trying to be funny, as you are funny when you're not trying to be funny, that would be amazing. But it's probably at the same time asking for way too much.
What else you got for us, Pritchett?
Whatever number 3 is, going through the thing.
Keep going.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We make the most of our life because that's all we atheists make the most of our life because that's all we've got. You want me to read the rest?
I love the way you read.
Religion is like an audition, except you spend your whole life trying to get the part, and you're not sure the part even exists. And maybe this guy isn't even a casting director, and he's just trying to take advantage of your naivety to get in your pants or something like that. Religion requires a lifetime of appeasement and concession. Sex isn't the only sin. Do you want to spend your time with someone on their best behavior, preparing for?
Again, I wish they would provide links for where they're getting this shit from. Like, because they gave this guy's name Bob Alberta. I don't not exactly sure which way to pronounce that. But we ogled it, and I couldn't find this motherfucker anywhere. And also, what they love to do is go to TikTok and find and dare I use the word predatory? If not, it's gutless. They tend to find, not every single time, but majority of the time, find like brand new, like freshly deconstructed or deconverted, atheists or agnostic skeptics, and like dissect the reasons they're an atheist, giving zero context to how long they have or have not been away from the faith, away from the religion, and then they take this high and mighty, like I'm a doctor, bruh. I'm a doctor, bruh.
Another life? Or would you rather be with someone living this one to the fullest?
This is a fundamental misunderstanding of Christianity. Christianity is not about preparing for the life to come. It's about bringing that kingdom that was broken into the world.
Captain. It's not their style, man. And I'll even say this, like, I feel like I'm decently well-read and have a pretty firm grasp on, especially, from the charismatic, evangelical, yada, yada, doctrine, theology. Feel like I have a good grasp, can have, obviously have the conversations. Before I go on, but I also know my lane. I know my spot. Ones like you or even Biddy. I'll take Biddy and put Biddy against just about any person that I can think of when it comes to Old Testament. Like here you go, have at it. But I know my lane. Someone like you that actually went through the education process, the schooling process, and went to school for it, and you're well-read, well-educated on it, and could easily defend either side, right? They don't come after you. They're not going to go after Biddy. They're not going to go after Kip or Josh or Pat. In this situation or this context, like, I would be the low-hanging fruit. I'm the least knowledgeable, the least educated out of all the ones that I just listed off. They don't even fuck with me, and I call their asses out on a pretty goddamn regular basis. It again. That's why I said, I'm probably being a little too harsh in saying predatory, but then there's other times that I've seen stuff that I feel like would justify that. But if anything, it's gutless. Like they're not going to address anyone that can have a productive, healthy conversation around around what they're trying to attack, which is the God belief and faith and justifying faith as a reliable pathway and blah 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 blah.
Through Christ and living that kingdom out here in the now. And, oh, by the way, those people also inherit the world to come, right? And go to heaven in the intermediate state when they die. Again, I don't understand how it's an audition for something. It's for Christianity, you're not auditioning, trying to appease and concede. By the way, again, if you're talking about husbands, being a better husband, sex is not a sin for husbands and spouses and their wife together.
Have all you want.
Have all you want. Now, if you're a husband and you have sex with someone who's not your wife, that is a sin.
Yeah.
What if it's consensual? That they did that back in the Bible days. Well, and for you, Pritchett, because you're the alpha. The men could have as many wives, concubines, partners, whatever that they fucking wanted, right? But not the women.
Yeah. Right? But it is not a sin. Sex is not a sin for husbands and wives to have sex with one another.
And it doesn't even seem like odd. Like if I didn't, I mean, it's hard to imagine what it'd be like if you didn't have certain upbringing in a certain culture and with certain ideas and things like that. But it just, I mean, doesn't it seem right? Like, doesn't it seem right anyway? Like that there's going to be less jealousy, less strife, less backbiting, less disease, less all kinds of things. If you find one person and you commit to each other.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And guess what? Dare I say this? I'm going to say it because I actually think it's important. I'm not saying it for like entertainment value.
Yes, you are.
But as a person who has been married to the same woman since I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
I think that there is something, you learn each other. You're listen, young people that aren't married yet, listen to me. You learn, when you have one spouse that you're with for a long time, you know what each other, you know each other's deal. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to say it without saying it, right?
Yes.
You know what each other like, right? And so it's a more advanced experience, I think, than you would have otherwise.
Yeah, and moreover, do you ever feel like...
And you have a lot more sex, by the way.
Yeah, this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the gospel, too. Do you ever feel like you're trying to appease God? Because let's look at Hebrews. Hebrews has something to say about sex, marriage better than defiled. But let's go somewhere else in Hebrews. That we have a high priest in Jesus Christ who ever lives to intercede on our behalf. And the book of Hebrews says, so you can approach boldly to the throne room of God. Are you trying to appease God all the time? Or can you walk into the throne room of grace with boldness?
Right.
This is a total fundamental, you're not preparing for another life. You're doing the work of the king here in this one, which, by the way, when you do ministry with a spouse, whether you and your wife both go to help in the food pantry, or you both go do some community project, or you both go work in the soup kitchen together, whatever you host a small group at whatever you're doing, when you're doing ministry, kingdom work with your spouse, there is an intimacy there that's almost as good as sex.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean,
it's different domain, but yeah.
Right.
Hey, real quick.
Oh, wow.
What happened to Jason? You're back, Jason. I hope you're still here to see this. Man, we are so glad to see you back, Jason. You made some amazing things happen last year for us, and not that. Listen, that
doesn't
alone,
mean he was gone the whole
that
time.
Alone was great. No, but I like seeing I like knowing that he's still out there, and thank you so much. I'm with Jim Amberg. That funny symbol before the 100. I'm not sure what that's about.
Euro?
Does it still mean something anymore? No, I'm just kidding. No. We thank God for you, and thank you for that.
Yes, we love Jason Miles, and then also the super chats are really nice, but we really love you beyond that.
Well, when someone gives, it shows me that it's like a vote in favor of what we're trying to accomplish.
It's like, keep going. And so I appreciate that, because it actually helps us to keep going. Not because we don't,
it keeps us motivated.
not because it only keeps us motivated, but it actually keeps
it pays
literally those things that fall off your wall every week.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount
the interdimensional tiles.
Yeah, the interdimensional tiles that you have enriched Home Depot with that glue gun. That you're a constant use.
Now, Punch Bowl Haircut has a solution. I have the perfect marriage because it's all in my imagination.
You know, I don't even know. I mean,
in the words of Saint Bono, old man learned how to cheat ambition. You don't lose if you don't play. All right, let's see what we have down here.
Yeah, Slam RN is making fun of the fact that, unlike Eric Hernandez, I cannot throw a girl in the air and catch her with.
I was wondering what that was about. Have you tried?
I wouldn't even.
I know he's holding his child up.
Right, he was in cheer and he teaches cheer and all that on the side.
Have you tried to do it?
Have
you tried to do it to Eric Hernandez?
I would not. Could I hold Eric Hernandez? No, that's a skill that I do not have, and I would not want to risk anyone I know into danger of breaking their neck for me trying or them collapsing on top of me.
Okay, Brian says people should start agnostic to all religious claims. When they have sufficient reason to believe or reject, they should become theist or atheist. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with that as far as the evidential side of this goes, but here's the thing. Most people don't. Most people find themselves in the midst of a group of people from a particular worldview. Not everyone. Is there like an obvious worldview here, like you're born in a Muslim group or a Christian group or whatever? But often there is a dominant group that's there. And so I think if, it is not unreasonable to accept what you're being told and seems right in such a setting until you find countervailing evidence to
I want to say, I mean, I'm kind of like, I look at that and it's like, I don't know that you should remain agnostic until you have sufficient reason to believe or reject. I do think that as you go along in whatever you are, if you are an atheist or a theist, continually reevaluate the evidence. But nobody is agnostic or atheist or theist for purely evidential reasons. So there's a lot of emotional reasons involved there. We're complex people. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know that you have to have, what is it, plus 51% certainty, or sureness about something, gut feeling, 51% or higher to commit to something. Mm-hmm. Because on any given day, you may not have that. And some days you may be 90%, and some other days you may be 10%. But you can have a trajectory within a belief system without having to sit on the fence in perpetuity if it's something that matters that much. On things that don't matter, sit on the fence all day long. But I do think that big worldview questions, you don't have to, you're going to have different people set what is sufficient at different levels. So what might be sufficient for one person may not be sufficient for another to commit to either one of those things. Mm-hmm. So, I guess you could say sufficient reason. Yes, that's the only reason why everyone is anything, though, including agnostic, right? You believe that right now you have a sufficient reason to not be either theist or atheist, right? Someone else has already met the threshold. So that's kind of like almost tautological in the sense that you're always at that. Wherever you are, it's because you have sufficient reason to be it, whatever that threshold is for any particular individual. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Question for Pritchett: on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for me to move from having abs to having an actual six-pack? Well, if you have abs, you have. Well, some people have like 2-pack, 4-pack.
Maybe he means the muscles are there, but there's a layer of fat over
visible. How important? It's not important at all.
Important to what?
Your health. Because
abs important to your health.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no. A strong core is important to your health, so that you can continue to walk and get up and
a strong enough core.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to look like I'm on WWF or whatever.
Hey, for people over 40, if you have a strong core, you won't need stool softeners. So there's all kinds of reasons why you want a strong core. So I don't think having visible abs is important. other people might think so, because the key to having visible abs is, depending on your genetics, your fat cell count, and all that other stuff. How low does your body fat percentage have to become in order for them to be visible? And can you maintain a healthy lifestyle? Can your body function properly with that low of, without having to get on performance enhancing drugs to do it? So I say, sure, have abs. It's not that important. Do it if you can get your body fat percentage low enough. It's going to be different from different people, to which they are visible, and you can maintain a healthy functioning bodily system. Yeah.
Not only are you a hot dog, a grandstander, a showboat, and a prima donna, but you're a liar too. You told some of the biggest lies that I've ever heard of in my whole life.
But is it important? I don't know. Probably not. How many more things do we have on this? We have 2, right?
There's only 2? Okay, let's get back to it. Sorry,
2 more left.
Into the chat there.
2 more left.
All right, number 4. We let science handle birth control. Like atheists, we're happy to let science handle birth control.
Okay, this is obviously a Catholic thing.
This is responding to Catholicism.
Yes.
An atheist will never protest using a condom or on moral grounds, or deny you Plan B for faith-based reasons. All the better to reveal in our dirty heathen sex consequence-free. Imagine how different the world would be if that sentence was in the Bible. Now, depending on the Christian you're talking to, even if they're not a Catholic, they could have problems with the Plan B thing. That's a controversial thing, even among non-Catholics. All right, number 5.
I still have. How does that make you a better husband?
Because if a woman marries you and you're an atheist, you're not going to put up any walls to them using contraception.
If you're Catholic.
No, I'm saying if you're an atheist. Wait. Yeah, if you're an atheist, like his kind of atheist.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop anyone from using...
any form of contraception.
Yeah, contraception.
Like including abortion as contraception.
Right. They'll like you better that way. Women will like men like that who don't interfere.
But if you don't have a problem with birth control, or you like want to have kids, I how does this make you a better husband? How is it better by X factor because all forms of contraception, including murdering babies, is on the table, as opposed to a Protestant evangelical who doesn't really object to birth control, or you have a vasectomy or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I don't know how
you gave me this list.
Okay.
We atheists don't automatically subscribe to the idea that women are inferior to men. Well, Mr. Egalitarian over there,
I don't think that
you're not even one of those Christians who thinks that the roles of men and women ecclesiologically necessarily need to be different, right?
Yeah, but I think that egalitarianism is a theological idea about church offices, really, for me.
Well, people.
I don't believe that complementarians think that women are inferior. That because
I don't.
because a complementarian says, I don't think a woman should be pastor of my church, right? Some complementarians, not Braxton, would even say, or children's minister or anything else, like no office in the church. Like you can't work for a church if you're a woman, right? Even them, giving them as much grace as possible, even Braxton, who doesn't even agree with that kind of, like, don't be a youth pastor and a woman, right? Don't be a children's minister. You can't at all.
I'd let them.
Yeah, I know. But
you're saying even those people.
Even the people that Braxton disagree with, you still would say that those complementarians, they're
more complementarian than me.
Right.
They're more conservative complementarian.
They don't look at women as inferior simply because they say, we don't think that...
Because the whole reason they call themselves complementarian is these are complementary but equal roles.
Right. So John Piper is a lot like some of these conservative
No. Let me say that again because I don't want to say it wrong. Men and women are complementary. They have complementary roles. They're equal in value.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even the people who say, I don't think women should be in combat, and I don't think that women should be in patrol cars or whatever. There are people like that are on the right and that are religious. Like John Piper, for example, doesn't think women should be cops, right? Even John Piper, his reason for that is because he elevates women as being too good for that kind of thing. Don't let them do that kind of thing. They're not built for it, so don't let them do it because we want them to be above that.
Well, there might be something to the "don't let them do it" part.
Right.
Like, are you not?
But,
what are you doing? How are you?
Okay, I don't care if women are in the military or police officers, but I'm trying to steelman John Piper.
And you're saying what he's saying, folks, is the most
is you might be too physically inferior to have to carry a 45-pound backpack for days on end while also carrying an assault rifle, right? So John Piper's like, maybe women shouldn't do that, and so because of physical limitations. So he's acknowledging those kind of things, and also because we don't want to put women in harm's way. We're the kind of people that women should go first on the boat off the Titanic kind of people, right?
That's me.
That's most men in general anyway.
Call me,
yeah.
Call me misogynistic.
Yeah, you as a man are less important to the continuation of the species than women are because they give birth. So I don't know that there's. By acknowledging that women maybe shouldn't be in combat or whatever, I don't sit there and say women shouldn't be in the military and ever in a situation where they could get bogged down by enemy fire. That's not my position. But those who would, it's not because they believe that they are like inferior in value. In fact, they would say that they are superior in value, that we don't want them around that.
Those people.
They shouldn't have to do that. We should shove all the men into that kind of thing. So I don't understand this idea.
That is this is a weird thing that is cropping up as a far right type thing. Not what you're saying, but what you're characterizing. But not just that, but to the extent of even that Milo Yiannopoulos that's been canceled by everyone was taking. Well, he was saying something.
We went so far as to say we don't want women to vote.
They
we don't
shouldn't be bothered with the dirty business of
politics.
And I'm like, dude, seriously,
right.
like nobody thinks you're.
But this guy seems to think that even the most. I don't even concede that the most complementarian men
think that women are inferior.
Think that women are inferior.
Yes.
Now are there complementarians who treat women as if they're inferior? Absolutely. You know what? There are egalitarians who also treat women as if they are inferior.
Yes.
There are.
Prepare to be astonished.
Surprise, motherfucker.
You suck.
You got knocked the fuck out, man.
Bad men, religious and not religious, both, who treat women crappy. Fair enough? So I don't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't understand what's inherent about religion. There are some religions, Islam, that do treat women as inferior. I'll grant you that, but I don't think that that's all religions. Okay, so what's the next one? Because I think that that's kind of a caricature and a straw man of.
No, it's not a caricature or a straw man, you imbecile. So let's rewind back to the evidence part. Missed it. Pritchett. Oh, God. Please provide your evidence. Please. Please provide your evidence. God, we need to see your evidence. And yes, the most honest thing to say about anything in life is if you don't know, say, I don't fucking know. It's not that complicated, bruh. So yes, someone can hold the agnostic position as long as they fucking want to. They don't need to lean to the theist side because that's what you want. That's what makes you feel all, what is it the soundboard says?
Do you have a warm, fuzzy feeling in your stomach right now?
Gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling in your stomach because you think there's this intergalactic planetarian god. Shout out Beastie Boys. Come on, bro. No, we shouldn't believe things to be true unless we have good reason, we have good evidence, reliable fucking evidence to believe it. And yes, Rick, I know, especially the Calvinist, but most apologists, we are just suppressing the truth in unrighteousness. My bad. Forgot that detail. Fuck that. That part blew my mind. Absolutely blew my fucking mind. I'm sorry, missed it, that you accept things to be true without evidence. I'm sorry that you do that. But don't tell other people to do that. That's dumb. That's dumb.
Woo, 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 woo.
What? Shut the fuck up. How's that song start? What did Juicy say? Shut the fuck up. And then the tiptoe dance, ballerina dance, the gymnastics, all that around the misogyny, like A for effort, motherfuckers. But you don't even, you don't get it. You don't even understand the stupid fucking shit that comes out of your mouth. It fucks people up. It fucks up our society. It fucks up our culture. It is fucked from every single angle. And just because you want to massage it, and all of a sudden I'm having a picture of Chris Farley on Tommy Boy where he's got the roll or the bun or whatever. I stroke it, I rub it, I massage it, and then I. That's what the fuck you do with that. You do that same shit. You fucking ruin it. You fucking ruin it. And you say dumb shit. Roll the tape.
Here's a good question. Is there any biblical basis or support for the notion that women or children should get into the lifeboats first? Where does that intuition come from exactly? I think that
I love my little pet. I rub it and I stroke it and then I. Tommy's hungry. Tommy wants wingy.
That intuition comes from the fact that as the generally speaking, physically stronger sort of thing, we generally take on this protector vibe. I realize that can be offensive, and women can definitely be protectors that are better than many male protectors.
There are women who can deadlift more than Braxton can.
Yeah,
we get it.
There's probably women in this building that could do. But the point is,
but not you, right, Pritchett? Because you're the alpha. You're the man's man. With them scrawny arms, and you're the one talking shit about lifting a dead. Come on, man. Like if you looked the part, maybe I'd take you a little serious. But you don't.
I think that that sort of natural chivalry to take care of those who are less capable in some circumstances of taking care of themselves is something that could emerge without any particular ideology behind it. Do you agree with that, Bridget?
Yeah.
You didn't hear what I said. All right.
So
I'm glad to see Kevin back.
Yeah. I owe
S.J.
Kevin an
Thomason
apology
is
because
here?
every time I watch the Evansville Watch thing,
What
and
did
I
a
share
woman
something-
say? What did a woman say? Men are generally stronger and can help women get in the lifeboats. Yep.
There we go. So Kevin, I am sorry that I was picking on Kentucky too much because an Evansville guy. First there was the two women who tried to rob the store at the mall, and then their car stalled out in the parking lot.
So beautiful.
And I was like, these people have to be from
People come
Kentucky.
running out of our local mall with 3 shopping carts full of stuff, rushing. We're making a jailbreak. We gotta get out of here. Get the getaway car.
Great to see you, Kevin. Glad you're back.
What's going on with the getaway car?
Yeah. And
It's
second,
sitting out there and it wouldn't start. Like, you know, in the movies when
Yeah.
someone tries to get away and they run and jump in the car and they can't get it started and the police are coming, and you're like, that never happens in reality. That's a trope. No, it happened.
Yeah, it happened here in Evansville. And so Second said to, in response to my posting, they was like, this must have been those people in Kentucky coming across the river, you know, for that to have happened. It had to be Kentucky.
Oh, yeah,
folks.
could have been, yeah.
And so I tagged Kevin. I said, Kevin, are these your people? But
don't put that on Southerners. Let's put that on Northerners. That's Evansville people doing that.
yeah, and I had to owe him an apology because there was a guy that's from Evansville who actually went to Kentucky to do his dirty work, stealing Cadillac converters and selling them in Owensboro.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, actually, you're right. It's the Evansville trash. That
I thought we were supposed to be talking about atheists, and half the time we were talking about abs, 6-packs. Now we're talking about people stealing car parts and selling them in Evansville. And I thought I needed Adderall.
that is doing
Don't
all
say
of this.
trash. Don't say trash.
Yeah.
But S.J. Thomason, thanks for showing up. She mentioned me because I commented in a video the other day, I think. And thank you. Well, Pritchett,
There's one more.
Oh, you're friends with S.J. It all makes sense now. You dirty rascals. You dirty rascals.
Thing.
Okay.
Let's just to close it out.
Okay. You going to close in a word of prayer?
I'm going
All
to close
hearts and
by
minds clear?
reading an atheist.
You want to give an altar call?
Let's see what the atheist says.
Where?
Point number 5.
Oh, we did number 5.
No, we did number 4.
We did number 5.
The women are inferior thing.
We did that.
Oh, that was number 5.
That's number 5.
Okay.
We're done. Yay.
What did any of that have to do with it making an atheist better husband, except for maybe arguably the last point, which I don't think is valid?
I tried to find some ways to help him.
To write a better article than the atheist who said, "Here's how I'm a better husband because I am a better husband than religious people."
Well, I felt it was.
You're going to critique his ability, whoever he is, to stay on topic, all while you didn't stay on topic for almost 57 minutes. Irony.
It was my
It's me.
obligation as a really good husband. I don't know how good of a husband he really is.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe, this was a cry for help of sorts. I thought I'd help him by telling him some idea, how my response.
What I heard is, I'll be.
Oh, this has got to be good. Everybody get ready. Everybody get ready. Put your seatbelts on.
What a rush!
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? But no, this is guarantee it. Guarantee it. Pritchett's about to drop some knowledge bombs.
Be a better husband because before I ever commit to being your husband, I'm going to use you as a plaything, and it may or may not work out.
Commitment's pretty important.
Yeah. So that's what I. So I really don't. I don't think that this guy. I don't think it is true that atheists make better. That doesn't mean that all atheists are bad husbands and all Christians are good husbands.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he made his case that atheists make better husbands than Christians.
I will agree that list was not good. I'll agree with that. But well, here, let's just again, let's go to the Go Ogles real quick, because it's typically a pretty quick search, if my memory serves me correct. I haven't researched or studied this in a while. All right, divorce rate. No, I want it for the country, not for the state. Yeah, the first few I pulled up say right around 15, and one gives a huge variance, 27 to 50%. I don't know how you have that wide of a variancy. Let's see, what year is this? (2012). That's not really relevant. Yeah, see, this one says 60%. So I'd say, to be charitable, we'll just call it 50%. So 50% of people that are entering marriage with a Christian worldview, like, you're not doing any better than us worldly, secular heathens, us apostates. You're not doing too much better. And I like how he tried to make it derogatory. Oh, you just have this little play thing. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people that they don't give a fuck, right? They don't give, and as long as it's, everybody's on the same page, you have permission. Do you? Everybody's consented. Everybody, do what you want, as long as you're not hurting people. But it's not always people just, I wanted a play thing. I wanted a toy. No, there's again, find out that the fucking shoe fits or the boot fits. Nothing wrong with that. You do the same shit when you go try on clothes.
But nice try.
And so I'll tell you what, I thought that was a pretty fun show.
Any more questions or no?
I think we're pretty well there.
Well, listen, folks, it's been a lot of fun. If you're a Christian husband, be the best husband that you can possibly be. If you are preaching the gospel to lost people,
shut up. Just shut up. Shut your yapper. There we go. There it is. All right. Well, everyone, that was bundles of fun. I hope you enjoyed as many bundles of fun as I enjoyed bundles of fun. things that make you go, huh. And yes, that's earth-shattering advice. If you do something, do it the best you can. That's what she said. Usually. Unless you're Braxy or Mr. Pritchett, and they're like, just do something. Just do something. Just do something. And Rick, I would love to have them on and talk to them. At this point, I don't think they'd have a one-on-one conversation with me because I've just taken too many opportunities to laugh. But no, I'd love to talk to them. They just have to know I'm, with the asinine shit they say, I'm going to be the same way face to face with them as I am reviewing their shit. I'm, talking with the same people that say the same dumb shit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, overall, rewinding back to Mr. Hagee. Because, TBN and YouTube are assholes. The one part we didn't get to hear that I'll share real quick on there at the very end, I was telling Jenna, it was fucking hilarious. It was either the dude, because it was the couple that was on there, married couple that's now their last names are slipping my mind, but the creators of TBN, the founders, that's one of their sons and then his wife. Anyway, they'd asked Hagee, where would America be? Where would America be if we didn't have Christian TV? Mr. Hagee answered the question, and I quote, no, don't quote me because I can't remember the exact word now. It just slipped my mind. So but that it would essentially be a moral train wreck. It was something along those lines. It'd be just a moral shit show, right? And I'm like, hold on. We've had Christian TV for fucking years now. Years. And according to you, from, through your lenses, from your lights, it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. So do the math. Maybe we don't need Christian TV. Oh, fuck the Pat Robinson 700 Club. God, I remember my mom watching that shit all the fucking time. Oh my God. Yeah, I'll wrap it up here. Thanks everybody hanging out. We had a consistent crowd with us for 3 hours. I didn't even plan on going that long, but once you get into Trinity Radio, the fun just never ends. I keep looking at Jenna. She's so cute when she's focused. Anyway, no, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And tonight's date night, so we're gonna go do the damn thing. Yay! And we're gonna go have some sushi, or as my daughter would say, some shushi. Have some shushi. Do that, and then tomorrow night, if you happen to be in the Louisville, Kentucky area, me and the homies, Case Kane, Ernie Wayne, we have a concert down in Louisville. If you're in the area, holla at your boy. Holla at your boy. And Ronaldo Martinez, welcome. We're getting ready to wrap up. But yes, fuck TBN. Yeah. Fuck them sideways, Jesus. Oh, Tina. Tina, your boy knows how to get G'd up from the feet up. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Actually, when I met her mom and her sister, my running joke, I'm the only one that jokes about it, but my running joke is I showed up looking like a televangelist. You know, you get a mirror and match your market. and they're very religious. I was like, all right, I'm gonna come looking like a preacher. And I did. And I preached the Oz gospel. The gospel according to Oz. But no, we're gonna do that, and then that's what I was saying. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, here I'll just put. You never know. In that area, there's my email for all my music shit, DJ shit. I can get your address and all that if you're interested. And yes, Stephanie, I agree. Christian radio, Christian TV. I mean, the fact that John Hagee, that's the other part they didn't get to, that we didn't get to hear. Like, he's on there 6 motherfucking times a week. Like, spitting that poison, that toxic fucking bullshit. So I agree. But as the always beautiful Jenna would say, that's it. And that's all. And I'll let y'all. Love y'all. Tang gang.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
I am the prodigy, probably. An oddity, commodity to fuck up your psychology. I honestly, possibly, constantly body these fucking wannabes. I am the novelty, fulfillment of the prophecy. I am apostasy's atrocity, demonstrably an anomaly. Just check the verbosity of my anthology. What you want, I do this shit unconsciously. I told you after Devil's Night, I'm coming down swinging, hit them with that boom, and keep their heads ringing. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep, I told you what I do. What if I just switch the flow, let the pieces fall, call it domino. I kill in force, Idaho, you the hoe. I know you know how to ride this boat, rodeo. Like fuck with you a little, it'll ripple, cripple. But I give you this pickle. What am I trying to say? If A can beat me, then we can see. And after that, yeah, you can get the D. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep, I told you what I do.
Say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like